morning and welcome to Morning Movie News, which today has a theme. And if you watch this show regularly, you know I love when I can do that because it's like playing Word Search or Connect 4. It's so much fun to look at the movie news landscape and identify 3 stories that fit together beautifully or can be fit together in a unique and interesting way. It's a little victory and we should all savor the little victories that we can. So what's today's theme? It's photos, and the first story is about a photo finish at the box office. I'm talking about Transformers 4 Age of Extinction and a story that's developed of Paramount, the studio behind Transformers 4 Age of Extinction, and the rest of Hollywood. Now, yesterday a number of you were asking me, where's Movie Math? And I have to admit, for the first time ever, Movie Math was rendered obsolete by a story that broke late Monday. Now, those of you who don't know this, Movie Math is actually written in advance, because I film it in front of a green screen, on Sunday afternoon when the studio estimates come out. Hollywood's gotten very good at predicting how a movie will do at the box office, and they're almost always right. And the numbers fluctuate a little bit, and here they fluctuated a little bit as well, but it's what they fluctuated around that's the point of contention. So anyway, I had built in this potential fluctuation into my episode of Movie Math, but of course I didn't account for Paramount sticking to their guns, almost inexplicably so. So of course the episode could not move forward even though it was almost all ready to go. So I thought I would make up for it by talking about it today in Morning Movie News as the first story, because it's an interesting story indeed. So what happened? Well, on Sunday afternoon, all of Hollywood agreed to play nice and say that yes, Transformers 4 Age of Extinction had made $100 million for its first 3 days in the United States. And I think the reason they agreed to do that, even though it wasn't definite, was because they really themselves wanted this headline. Hollywood really wanted to put out a movie that opened with $100 million, because they haven't been able to do that yet, and if it wasn't Transformers 4 Age of Extinction, it's looking like it won't be any movie this summer. And to have a summer with not a single film open at $100 million or more, when often a movie opens well above $100 million each year. A couple of movies, 3 or 4, we discussed this recently when Godzilla was unable to reach the $100 million mark. I did a whole backstory on what years we've had 100 million openings, etc., and how many. We're supposed to have a couple each year at this point. And the last year we only had one, was back, I believe, in 2004 with Shrek 2. But again, this is a very disturbing development for the movie industry in general, that Transformers 4, as the rest of Hollywood is now saying, didn't get that 100 million opening weekend. Paramount insists that they did. So anyway, that's basically the short of it. On Sunday afternoon, everyone decided to play nice, and then when the Rentrack numbers came out, the dust cleared. It came out, Rentrack is an independent company that tracks box office revenue. They said 97 million, around there, so it's just shy. And so the rest of Hollywood said, okay, all right, Paramount, we'll give you biggest opening of the year. You've topped Captain America the Winter Soldier, but you did not get 100 million. And Paramount countered, we did. And the rest of Hollywood said, how can you say that? We're looking at the numbers. You got 97 million. And Paramount said, well, you missed a few theaters. And so we calculate that those few theaters you missed are what propel us to 100 million, like 0.038 or something. And then Rentrack countered, look, we do miss some theaters, but they're all so small and have such a small capacity and so few people go to them that there's no way they propelled you past 100 million. Our estimate is correct. Paramount said, I don't care what you say, Rentrack and the rest of Hollywood. Our final number is 100 million. And then the rest of Hollywood said back, how can you do that? How can you just make numbers up when you're a publicly traded company? To which Paramount just basically didn't respond. And they can't really respond because that's a very serious accusation to say that a publicly traded company is making up numbers. Now, of course, to some degree, people have always said Hollywood makes up numbers. There's that age-old saying that no movie in Hollywood ever turns a profit because they don't want to pay anybody out who has a gross net participation deal. A profit participation deal. If you ever are lucky enough to get a Hollywood contract that has gross participation, say you want it up front off of the box office gross, not once the profit off of just the profit, because one will never materialize. So that's like a famous thing in Hollywood about how to negotiate your contract, and people always lamenting that the studio says there's no money to give you because we're still paying off that film. And really it's just going into the studio's pocket, etc. The creative accounting that Hollywood is so infamous for. But this is a new low, I guess you could say, because the studio is doing creative accounting in the industry headlines, not even in a small little backstory. It's the back channels who discusses these numbers usually, but industry insiders. But this is taking place, of course, right in the front pages or on the top page of all the websites in front of the general public, which has become, very much involved in what's going on in the inner workings of Hollywood. The curtain has been, pulled back, and we were a lot more privy to things that are going on in contract negotiations. A long time ago, the Edgar Wright problem for Marvel never would have been public knowledge, and now it is going to probably be a big thing at San Diego Comic-Con. Expect Marvel to be asked about that, because fanboys are not afraid to ask the tough questions. Just go to a DC panel sometime and you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm curious to how you guys feel about this. I mean, what do you think about Paramount insisting their movie made $100 million? Do you think it's a $3 million difference? Give it to them, or can you see why the rest of Hollywood? I think that's another interesting thing, that the rest of Hollywood, who were so willing to play along on Sunday, suddenly turned on Paramount and said, nope, 97. I think it's a situation also where the relationship between the studios has become so contentious. And, there was a big write-up in the Hollywood Reporter that one of you sent me yesterday about where are the 100 million openers. And I think that what it didn't touch upon was, as I said, just how contentious it is between the studios right now. We all said that Captain America 3 versus Batman v Superman was an awesome lineup, and it would be fun to see how it shook out, and it's going to be Marvel versus DC. But when you step back and you think about it, does anybody really win with that kind of a matchup? Why do that? Why does Marvel want to go and just take DC head on like that? Why not spread it out? Why not make it easier for us to all go to see these movies? A lot of people, you have been saying it, some people in the studio system have been saying it. Let's just utilize the whole release date. Why do we have to have seasons? As many people are saying, if it's a big enough movie, people will go. Look at the Lego Movie. Look at Captain America the Winter Soldier. Unusual release dates, they brought in a significant amount of money. The Lego Movie was even responsible for getting the 2014 box office ahead of 2013 up through April. But then the summer has been so bad, it's about 15% actually running behind summer 2013 at the box office, that they've actually lost all of 2014's lead over 2013 for the year in general. So what do you think about that? Do you think that maybe this aggressive release strategy, game that they have, where they try and knock other people's movies out, is maybe even a bad idea financially? And maybe it isn't so much fun to watch an industry cannibalize itself. I'm really curious to what you guys think. I also think that the reason they're not having any 100 million openers is that when you have too many movies come out and someone misses one, it's kind of like when you miss the first couple episodes of a hot TV series. You go, what? I'm too far behind. I'll never catch up. I'll just wait to watch it all, later when I can. And sometimes you never get to it. So maybe some people didn't see every single movie that came out every weekend, and they were just, you tell me. And you were like, what? I'm out of summer. I kind of didn't catch up, and I'm gonna wait. So I'm curious to what's going on with you and what you think is going on with Hollywood, between not just the box office but also the studios. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of people down below saying, but other movies, The Hobbit will make 100 million its opening weekend. What about Guardians of the Galaxy? Very unusual. If you really please, we must understand that Hollywood usually, and even here you can see 97 versus 100, very close. They know what their movies are going to make. They test, the audiences. They test the crap out of them, and they do a lot of, polling, and they're very, very aware of what the numbers are going to be. And and also movie-going habits don't change. You can very much look at past performers and understand how future performers will do. It's fascinating, actually, to see that there's so little fluctuation, and it's so hard to actually get someone to go to a movie theater. I think it's fascinating, and one of the reasons I like discussing the box office with you every week. But Guardians of the Galaxy, because that's the first entry for Marvel, even though it's a Marvel property, but it's still the first in a series, I'm sure, a hopeful series. Expect that to make 70 to 80 million its opening weekend, or on the low side, maybe around 60. And then as for The Hobbit's not going to open any higher than about 80 or so, because the last two Hobbits, that didn't open any better than that. And actually, they lost ground with the second Hobbit because people were so disappointed in the first. Now, which films will reach the $1 billion club is a totally different conversation, and we'll see. But also, as you guys have been pointing out to me, it was recently announced that X-Men: Days of Future Past is the biggest movie of the year to date. Fox topped Marvel with their own property, which has got to sting. All right, so that's the first story of the day, the photo finish. Now, the second, we're going to go over some photos for the second two stories. Now, the first, let's do the shorter one first. Let's take a look at this sneak peek, this first look at Clark Kent. A little anticlimactic, although I don't know, I love Clark Kent. I think he's a great character. I actually sometimes prefer him to Superman, and I think he's such a big part of Superman. I know we argue about this all the time. Is he Clark Kent first, Kal-El second, or vice versa? I'm in the Clark Kent camp because he was raised here. That's where he formed his personality and his worldview, or globe, or universal view, I guess, when you're talking about Superman. But some of you don't agree with that so much. But you know, I'm glad to see, you know, it warms my heart and gives me a little more confidence that Zack Snyder decided to release the first photo of Clark Kent with this little chair, a director's chair with Clark written on it. That makes me feel very nice. And as I said, a little bit better about the movie, that it seems that Snyder and Goyer and Chris Terrio, the writer who's working on this at Ben Affleck's request, seem to recognize Clark Kent's importance as well. I think it's great. I don't really like what Clark Kent is wearing, by the way, though. One of the few things I've liked about the New 52 is they've made Clark Kent seem a little cooler, a little more hip, a little more like everybody else, instead of, you know, stuck in like this time warp as Clark Kent sometimes seems to be. More like a modern country boy, and I think that's a really smart way to go with the character. And even when Christopher Reeve played Clark Kent was never not cool. He just was a little square maybe, but you know, he owned it, and I thought that was great. I really liked that about Christopher Reeve's performance. So I don't know, Clark Kent to me, he needs some fashion advice pretty quickly. I just think that the outfit looks, and also it looks a little drab. It doesn't really pop. I think Clark Kent should have a little more energy. And he's not wearing his glasses either, so I don't know what's going on here. But as I said, at least it's a step in the right direction. And it's fun to see another photo from this movie, although so far in advance. You're talking about a 2016 summer release, so it's 2 years in advance. I guess they want to feed the beast, which is the fandom, of course. And I certainly enjoy looking at these too. But, you know, nobody wants to be like, I saw that movie 2 years ago through all the production stills that were released. So I would, you know, I'd say some caution. And also, why on earth does it need to be shot so far in advance? Why won't it be ready for 2015 if they're shooting it now? I hope it's because everyone's going to fly. Everyone's going to fly left and right. They need to animate that, and so that's what's going to happen. But I think this photo is good, and I liked Henry Cavill quite a bit in the role, as you might recall. So it warms my heart to see him as Clark Kent again. But we'll see what happens. And he's holding up a cute little shirt. I guess this is the shirt they're giving out to everybody on the set. But, you know, I think they should have explained that. But anyway, I also guess this is a little bit of how the movie's going to go. And the Batman gets a kick-ass introductory photo where he's all dramatic and poised, and he's in front of his Batmobile, and it's in black and white. And then Clark Kent's, like, holding up the crew shirt on set without it. He forgot his glasses next to his little chair. Yeah, that's, you know, Batman gets the Batmobile and Clark Kent gets a director's chair. But, you know, whatever, Clark Kent. You know, Henry Cavill, prove them all wrong when they see the movie. Outshine everybody. I hope to some degree that's the case, because Henry Cavill has been sidetracked a little bit, even though he kickstarted this whole new DC cinematic universe. But the color palette, so drab. Also, you know, where's their costume designer? Geez, I'm sure they have, but, you know, try not to forget what colors pop on screen and how things look really nice. This, you know, I don't know, this looks like very 70s and stuff, you know, like a 70s sitcom. I'm not happy with it at all. All right. Now let's move on to the big story, a little bit of deja vu, and that's the character posters for Big Hero 6. Now, Disney has insisted that everybody take these down, so luckily the internet, once things get on the internet, they never disappear. Disney can't get rid of them. And the reason I said deja vu is this reminds me so much of what happened with Frozen, as you might recall, where the character posters were leaked in advance, and everyone was like, wow, I hope that's not how they're going to look. And Disney was like, no, don't worry about it. That's not how they're going to look. And that's totally how Anna and Elsa ended up looking, and everyone loved it, because the movie's the most successful animated film of all time. It's one of the most successful films of all time. And it was also just recently announced it's the most successful film in Japan of all time, passing Spirited Away. I paused there because it's just such an FU to Hayao Miyazaki that in his native Japan, Frozen would be the biggest performer of all time over any of the classics that he's created. Is just, wow. I mean, Miyazaki, he's put that in your pipe and smoke it. It's really food for thought. And he's probably like, maybe I should retire. We'll see. Or maybe I should make a princess movie with a real princess. Not a princess who's like a warrior and has blood on her face. All right, so let's look at these pictures, which, you know, looks just like the teaser poster that was recently released in low res. So this is definitely how the characters are going to look. And I think it's both interesting and a little confusing. And, you know, as usual, it's not a home run. there's room for doubt. So what are my thoughts on this? We'll go through the characters each in a moment, but I will say that when you see a big line of characters like this, it really makes you wonder how much room is there in the Disney animated universe for superheroes, especially when they have the Incredibles already. And I think people would like to see further development of those characters. Now, I think Incredibles 2, there have been some rumblings that maybe it will get made. Never say never, but never say yes until it's 100% confirmed. But it's not becoming such an impossibility anymore. And so people would like to see, I think, that explored. So when you have in The Incredibles and Big Hero 6, don't they kind of like cancel each other out? I mean, Disney princesses don't cancel each other out, right? Obviously. But, there's one per movie, or now two per movie. But when you have these characters, you've got 4 Incredibles, then there's Frozone. Then now you have 6, or 5, because there's Baymax as well, a robot. You got 5 new characters. You just flood the market much faster. And so I just wonder, if there's room, I don't understand why Disney feels they need their own superheroes when kids of all ages love the live action movies that Disney is producing through their Marvel. This is also Marvel associated, but through their Marvel Studios banner. So I don't understand why they feel they need. We need some animated ones too, because it's not like the other ones aren't making enough money. But we'll see. Now, I'll discuss whether or not they would keep the Asian, whether or not they would whitewash this group, and it seems that they've rainbowed it because they have an African American character, they have clearly this Caucasian character, Honey Lemon. Although I believe, like in the comics, that an Asian character switched bodies, kind of like Psylocke, that whole storyline about how Betsy Braddock went into I think her name was Kwan. She was an Asian assassin. They body swapped, and that's why she looks Asian, even though she's the sister of Captain Britain, etc., etc. So that's kind of what happened with Honey Lemon. So I guess that makes sense that she would be Caucasian. And then they do have one other Asian character, GoGo Tomago. And then I think Fredzilla seems to be just a monster, which is a very interesting choice indeed, because he changes back and forth in the comic. So as I said, I'm not sure. I think this looks fun, but I don't know. I just feel it seems like unnecessary. It's like almost like Disney Junior application of Marvel superheroes. But we'll see. All right, so let's start off with Honey Lemon. I believe Honey Lemon will be by far and away the most character out of here. She looks the most like a Disney princess. She's got a handbag that apparently has like bombs around the strap, because you can see her holding one. She's got that fun wedge heel on. I mean, she just screams current, teen and tween girls. And she's a kick-ass superhero, so that's a lot of fun. So I think I can see her maybe being very popular, and I think she's very well designed. She's got a heart and a teddy bear on her bag. I mean, wow. Right? I mean, talk about hitting your target demographic. And she's got that cute little mask on. She looks like a lot of fun to me, and she just screams, direct hit with the target fan base. A lot of merchandise. Who doesn't want that handbag, right? Who doesn't want those shoes? Great Halloween costume. Now, that's why I think there's a problem here with GoGo Tomago. She looks very cool. I like her purple streaks in her hair, and I think it's great that, they kept this an Asian character. I think to some degree, we'll see how it works. Why call them Big Hero 6? Why bring in the Asian influences? But maybe it's so everyone can enjoy them. I don't know. It's very difficult to do a mix, so if they can pull it off, great, but there's a very good chance the whole thing could curdle, right? But I think that these discs on her arms and legs, they're so that she can, travel like down hills and stuff, so she can almost become like a little car. They're cool, but nobody wants to wear that. And Halloween, who would you rather go to the party that you want to catch this guy's attention, right? Do you want to go as Honey Lemon in hot pink and orange with a handbag? Or do you want to go with wheels on your shins and your elbows, right? I think it's a pretty clear choice. So if I would want to create a great character for everybody to have and to look up to, I would have been like, it's kind of like when they made Tiana, Princess Tiana, the first black princess for Disney, a frog most of the movie. Sometimes you have to be like, let's just take a moment, sit back, and think about how the fan base is going to react to this. And I would have been like, maybe those wheels like come out some other way, or maybe she does something else. I don't know. I mean, I know they have to be loyal to the comic, but they're clearly changing so many other elements. Why not do something a little bit more fan-friendly? Then Wasabi No-Ginger. This is obviously writing a black character here. I think that's great, more diversity. And he does have like the Japanese headband on, so basically this character is supposed to be a sushi chef. So sure, anyone could be a sushi chef, right? And he looks cool. I like the character a lot. I just, I still have this feeling with all these different people. I'm like, what are you doing here in this Asian movie about a team of Asian superheroes? I don't know. It just seems like diversity for diversity's sake. I know I talk about diversity a lot here, but this stuff needs to be earned. I never want to just see it for the sake of seeing it, because that nobody wins there. So I hope the character is well realized. He looks cool, but again, I don't know. You guys tell me. He looks cool, but again, I don't know if anybody would be like, that's me. I totally want to grow up to be that guy. I think Frozone is a cooler character than Wasabi No-Ginger. I mean, he kind of looks like, he's supposed to be like, I guess like, Asian pants style, but it looks a little like pajama pants. I don't know. They're not very flattering. And why would he wear a cape? As they said in The Incredibles, never wear a cape. Then you have a Fredzilla poster. Fredzilla, I don't know. If he's going to stay a monster all the time, you think he'd be a little cuter. I don't see anybody being like, I want a Fredzilla. He's not like, he's got nothing on that strawberry from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs too. But we'll see. And he also looks like he has a very bad skin condition. He has eczema. You should go see somebody about that. I don't like skin stuff. It's really, really creepy. But I don't know. We'll see. He has the voice of T.J. Miller. That should be pretty funny, right? He's the guy in Transformers, the Lucas, the Mark Wahlberg's business partner. Very loose business partner. Then we have a Hiro gets his own poster. Again, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I mean, Hiro has very little robotics on. Again, you look at this, just like you wouldn't wear a cape, you'd think you want a little more protection. But I guess maybe this allows him to move along a little bit more. And maybe it's a little bit easier for the Halloween getup. I can literally see this being sold in stores as is, right? It's just a little chest plate, some gloves, a helmet, and knee pads. And you supply your own sneakers and pants, kids, just like in the movie. Come on, just like you should use a little more imagination in your Halloween costume, they should use a little more imagination in the costume here. But we'll see. He looks a little more Asian here. I know we thought that he might be maybe mixed race would be a very good choice, I think, but we'll see. But I don't know. I mean, everybody looks like they're down for a fight, but I'm just not totally feeling it. And then, of course, Baymax. He finally got into his suit. He's holding his tummy in like all Hollywood actors. That's a great running gag about old actors. If you watch any Robert Mitchum movie, you can see that he's holding his stomach in because it goes concave under his ribs. And no one's stomach does that. It's hilarious. Seth MacFarlane makes fun of that a lot on Family Guy, and I've also seen a great joke about it that Jean Dujardin made in one of his spy movies. He did a great job there as well. It was very funny. So Baymax, he looks okay. He looks good. I don't know. I just feel like this is the Disney Junior version of a Marvel property, and I just don't understand why it exists when there are already so many Marvel live-action movies. It's like, we don't need more. I'm fine. And they're like, are you sure? And I'm like, just make Incredibles 2. So I'm curious what you guys think of this. A lot of you asked me for my thoughts on these posters, so please share down below what you think of the characters. And also, will this go the way of Frozen? Will we eventually be like, remember when they leaked those posters and then the movie was awesome? I'm sure Disney is hoping that as well. And why do you think Disney wants to take these down? People are excited about them. Their movie's coming out very soon. I think it's weird that Disney wanted them off the internets. But you can't do that, so they shouldn't have even bothered. All right, let's move on to today's viewer question, which also happens to be about animation, which is why I picked it. It's from, let's see here, it's from Keegan Kenrick. And Keegan says, question, Grace. I love your show. You never disappoint. Thank you so much, Keegan. That's so nice of you to say. I watch your show all the time and love to hear your take on things. I have a question about animated movies. Frozen has been a huge financial hit for Disney, but there are a lot of mixed feelings about it. Some people love it and think it's one of the best animated movies of all time, and some people hate it and think it's overrated. I know you didn't like it that much, and I was just wondering this. Do you think animation in general is getting better, plot-wise and visually-wise, or do you think it's getting worse and worse? I hate how most studios have abandoned 2D animation completely, but I just want to hear your opinion on this topic. Thanks so much. Hope to hear from you soon. You're awesome, Keegan. You're awesome, Keegan. What a great question. And this reminds me a little bit of the comic book question from yesterday that Ruby asked about are comic books going to go away because they've been commandeered by the suits at the movie studios because they're so tightly tied into the movie properties. And as I answered there, I felt that smaller publishers like Image Comics and Boom Comics would become the cable television of comicdom, and just like cable had edged out the networks with taking more risks, being a little bit more daring, a little edgier, I thought that Image and Boom would move to the forefront of the comic book industry. So I feel I would like to see a similar thing happen in animation. So the question is, why isn't it happening? And I blame the Academy Awards. I believe we got to talk about this a little bit, in the Oscar vote episode. But one of the things I think that a number of us have been noticing about the Oscars when it comes to Best Animated Feature is that apparently the Academy voters don't watch animated movies. So while they vote for quality in every other category, or their idea of what's a quality film, and that's debatable, right? They vote for quality and artistry in every other category. For some reason, when it comes to animation, they just vote for the most popular movie. It's a fascinating difference. And I think it's because, as I said, they didn't watch any of the movies. They don't want to watch the screeners. And so the only way they can tell what's good is to go either with, what everybody went to see at the box office, or I think also, what company they like. They're like, oh, Pixar. Pixar can do no wrong. If it's a Pixar movie, vote for it. And so I think that's why you have certain wins. And I think that Frozen, they said, look how much money Frozen's made, look how popular it is, it's a cultural phenomenon, it should win. And I question, or my kids watch the screener constantly. I've seen some celebrities on talk shows saying, because they send screeners in advance to Academy members so they can see the film. They're supposed to watch it, but they just give it to their kids apparently to devour, and they hear it in the background, and they go, okay, I should vote for that. And I think because risks aren't rewarded at the box office or with the awards circuit, no one's taking risks in animation because there's no upside to it. And that's why you're having a problem. And I think that, people aren't willing to take a risk for animated movies either. And I think that's also the fault of the animators. They should make, where's the mid-range risky movie? Right now you have the really mainstream vanilla animated films that make billions of dollars like Frozen. And then you have these little indie films which are so indie that they're not going to appeal to a family that wants to go and relax on a Friday or Saturday night. So I would hope that maybe stop motion is the middle ground here. Maybe they're the people, it's not the animation that I think most people enjoy, the majority enjoys, but I think that stop motion is a form of animation, and they might be the cable television of animation right now. They might be the ones that are doing interesting things and pushing the edge of the envelope and able to do some box office revenue, like Box Trolls, for instance. We'll see how that does. Paranorman, not big box office winners, and also not really rewarded at the award circuit, but at least they have that box office reward to keep them going. But it's an interesting situation. But I would say to you, Keegan, that basically what you're looking at is that animation is splintering apart just like any genre, or any form of movie making, just like live action, just like television. You have your money makers, you have your award winners, and you usually have your mid-range material, but that it needs an audience to survive, and so that's really what's going on. So I hope that eventually we'll get more animation companies that are willing to be in the middle of the road. But I do agree with you on the artistry comment. And that's one of the things I liked about How to Train Your Dragon 2, as I said in my review. They did such a great job of realizing what they dreamed up in the concept stage. Because I'm sick and tired of seeing concept art and being like, well, what happened to that idea? There are so many wonderful sketches of Elsa's palace for Frozen that you can find online, and none of them materialized in the movie. Great moments that were imagined in the concept art of Elsa and her ice fortress of isolation. Beautiful, beautiful touch, with more emotion than anything in the movie. So you have to wonder, where did those things go? And so I would hope that more movies like How to Train Your Dragon 2, although that's not really being rewarded at the box office right now, would take that risk. But maybe if How to Train Your Dragon 2 can get an Oscar, that would be great. Maybe that would be the reward that it needs. So what do you think? Write your thoughts down below about today's top 3 stories, the photo theme, today's viewer question, and anything you'd like to see covered tomorrow, and any questions that you might have. Thanks for watching. Bye.